When Princess Atlanta of Atlantis washes up on the shores near Thomas Curry's lighthouse in the middle of the storm, the two soon begin an affair that results in the conception of their son, Arthur. However, forces conspire to send Atlanta back to Atlantis, where she's presumably executed for her affair with a surface dweller. Arthur grows up resenting his Atlantean heritage until one day when a woman named Mira arrives to inform Arthur that his half-brother Orm is seeking to become the Ocean Master, uniting the various underwater civilizations for a war against the surface world. Now Arthur and Mira must set forth to find the Trident of Atlan, the founder of Atlantis, in order to unite the cultures and properly bring peace to both the surface and undersea worlds. This is Aquaman. So yeah, kind of a funny story with this. I saw the movie a few hours ago actually. I got some dinner, I came back, and found my internet was on the fuck. So I had to get that all reset and get that working again before I really felt comfortable shooting a review for this. So some of this might not be as fresh as they usually are, but anyway, I did see Aquaman. The film is pretty darn good. I don't think it was as good as Wonder Woman in terms of the DC films, but it's certainly better than a lot of the other ones. I would say I would probably put it on par with Man of Steel, and I enjoyed Man of Steel more than anyone, a lot of other people did, I know, but I would definitely kind of put it more into that tier than in the Justice League, Batman v Superman, and Suicide Squad tier. So things, there's a lot of stuff that happens in this film. Like, I completely omitted the fact that, yeah, Black Manta is in this film. Black Manta is a pirate. Arthur Curry operates as Aquaman, sort of this mythic figure of the sea, even though, again, like Justice League happened, and there's news reports of the Aquaman being sighted everywhere, and there's this one scientist who talks about Atlantis, but no one believes it happened, even though, again, we have knowledge that there is an Aquaman, so I don't know why this guy's considered a crackpot, but anyway, Black Manta's origin, he's a pirate, and he's part of a lineage, actually. Like, his grandfather was a World War II frogman who got discriminated against because Black Manta is black by America, so he basically resorted to become a pirate instead, and the idea that the nickname of the Manta was passed down through the generations, and Black Manta's father is killed while Arthur's stopping them from taking over this Russian submarine. And Black Manta, it turns out, was commissioned by Orm to stage an attack by the surface world in order to help precipitate this war. And later, Manta gets the enhancements. Like, first it's just a scuba suit he's wearing, but then he gets the enhancements, including this specialized gun that turns water into a plasma blast that he modifies into the classic Black Manta mask. Arthur was actually trained for a while a bit more into his backstory in this as well. Arthur is actually trained a little bit into some fighting by Vulko, the vizier of the king of Atlantis, the royal family of Atlantis. But and also, like I said, he's also sort of Arthur's mentor, but he's also the one who sort of informs him that his mother was sacrificed to the trenches, which is basically the term for being executed. And he's also the one who finds the map to the trident that they need to unite everyone in the proper and proclaim Arthur to be the one true king of Atlantis, which both Vulko and Atlanta believe, because he's actually the one, because Arthur is of both worlds. He's the one that can best bring both worlds together, the surface and the undersea, if you get the idea. And Orm is sort of resentful because, again, his mother had an affair with a surface dweller. Atlanta was fleeing an arranged marriage. That's kind of how she winds up on the shores near Amnesty Island. And, okay, so I guess I kind of threw that bit now. Overall, I would say the film is fairly enjoyable. I like Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I liked him in Justice League as Aquaman. I think he's actually pretty good. I know some people have bagged on him for it, but I liked it. He does spend. Sometimes he's really good at being kind of gritty and brooding, but he can also be quippy and funny when need be. There's a lot of that when he's with Mira. He's sort of cracking some jokes. He makes a joke. Basically, Arthur is the only Atlantean that can communicate with sea creatures, and not just fish, but he can talk to whales and other things as well. And he sort of convinces a humpback whale as they're fleeing from Orm's forces to let him and Mira hide there, because Mira is basically also part of an arranged marriage to Orm, but she turns on him, and because she's the one who fetches it. She has more of a philosophical philosophy with Volko, and she wants to be more with Arthur. And I'll try not to be so plot summary in this. I'm sorry. But, yeah, like I said, he convinces this whale to let them hide in its mouth. And he says, oh, I got the idea from Pinocchio. And she thinks Pinocchio is this surface legend. It's like, no, it's a children's book. And he's like, actually, I got it from the movie. So, there's a little bit of that. Like I said, they have to go on the quest to find the location of this trident, and first they have to go through the Sahara Desert, and then they're sent to Sicily, and from there they have to go to this one spot. I guess it's in the Mediterranean. I may be wrong, and that's where the trenches are located. So he has to go to where his mother was sacrificed, and that leads to a revelation. I'll get to a little bit here. Like I said, I'm sorry for being a little blow by blow. I'm trying not to be, guys. I really am. I would say, for the most part, like I said, Jason Momoa is good. Amber Heard is good as Mira. Willem Dafoe as Volko is all right. He's Willem Dafoe. And the weird thing, of course, Willem Dafoe is also Steppenwolf in Justice League. Okay, but the big revelation for me was Tamura Morrison as Thomas Curry. He's really good. He's good at being kind of the nice guy who finds Atlanta as she's injured in the storm, and he pulls her out and he takes it in there, and he's sort of he gets her to safety, and she's sort of flipping out when she sort of comes to, because he pulled her out of the ocean, and he doesn't, and she's obviously a little off guard on it, but you see him, and he's kind of this lovelorn romantic guy too. And you also see him be very fatherly with Arthur throughout everything that goes on to that. And he was really good in this movie. The actor who played Black Manta, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, unfortunately. He's all right, especially when you see him kind of kit bashing the gun into the Black Manta mask. Like he's trying to set things right. It keeps firing off and destroying things behind him. So you get some good parts with there. If I had one major complaint with the film, is that it's really too long. There's a lot of stuff they try to cram into this, a lot of story. It's like it's kind of Game of Thrones under the sea, except Game of Thrones is a television show, not and a series of books, obviously, not a movie. Like this would be a kind of a good miniseries, but as a movie, it's kind of hindered. As a single movie, it kind of falls. It is hindered a little bit by its length. Also, there are some scenes there's a little bit of a bad editing in this. Like they're going on this quest to find the trident, right? They go to the desert, and then they're directed to Sicily. And then you see Arthur and Mira walking around Sicily, finding things, trying to figure everything out. And then suddenly we cut back to Atlantis, where Orm has found out Vulko has basically he's been plotting against him and has Vulko imprisoned. Exactly. It's like, that really should have happened a little bit earlier. Like, that should have been when Arthur and Mira were directed to Sicily. Then you go to that. You don't do it at this point. Like, you use it as a transitional period from that. Patrick Wilson as Orm. I liked him as well. Unfortunately, I think he's a little underutilized. He should be a little. I'd like to see a little bit more scheming and conniving. He actually does get some good humanization in this as well, though, because he does talk about he grew up resenting Arthur, but they never officially met until the point in the film that they do. But, you know, he's like, I knew of your existence, and you were this person, but you're the person who got my mother killed, and I hate you, but at the same time, you're my brother, and I don't want to kill you, but I have to in order to get what I want. So that's kind of cool. And, well, here's kind of the big spoiler for this. It's eventually discovered that Atlanta is still alive. Basically, they have to go through the trenches, which is where she was sacrificed, and Arthur and Mira find this big vortex, and they enter it, and they come out near this deserted island, and it's there that Atlanta is waiting for them, and she says, basically, this creature, I cannot remember what this creature was named. I think it was, it's basically the Kraken, for lack of a better term, so that's why I just called it in my notes. Basically, the Kraken is guarding the trident, but it can only be accessed by the true king of Atlantis, and I think that's you because, as it turns out, because Arthur can communicate with sea creatures the way Atlan, the founder of Atlantis, could communicate with sea creatures, that he's able to reason with this, and he says, look, I may not be, you know, pure Atlantean, but, you know, I'm here to try to save Atlantis, and it needs to be saved right now. And he's able to reason with the Kraken and claim the trident, and that's how he gets his classic Aquaman outfit. And that leads to them returning to Atlantis, and Atlanta shows up, and Orm, Ocean Master, that's actually the name he has in the comics, Ocean Master, sees her, and basically she says, look, you were misguided. You know, I don't hate you, I'm not judging you, I'm not angry at you, because you were raised in this culture that says that the surface world is evil, but I'm here to tell you they're not. You know, you need to get along. And so he does yield, but you can kind of get the idea that he hasn't completely given up taking over Atlantis yet. So yeah, he's basically arrested at the end and not killed. Whereas earlier, he and Arthur did fight, and he almost killed Arthur. So from that, we get to basically the post-credit sequence. Like I said, there was this crackpot scientist who's talking about Atlantis and that it exists, and no one believes him. But it turns out he and some sailors that he employed find Black Manta floating out on the sea after a confrontation in Sicily with Aquaman and Mira. And he basically says, you know, he finds the technology that Manta's wearing. He's like, I know this is Atlantean technology. I'm willing to help you, but you have to help me. He's like, well, you'll have to help me do one. All I have to do is point you to one thing. And he basically throws this knife, and it hits a picture of Aquaman on the wall. And that's, I don't know if there was another post-credit scene after that, because it was a long, like I said, it's a long movie. Like I said, overall, performance is good, really nice action set pieces, decent enough story. The only problem, again, too long, and some choppy editing in some sequences that really kind of throws off the narrative flow. So I am going to give Aquaman a B.
This young man took a summer job in this plush resort hotel, but he never expected this. Working in a crazy hotel kitchen with a bushy maitre d' and a touchy cook. It's The Last Resort, premiering Wednesdays this fall on CBS.
We're looking good.
Okay, trailer time, and well, they're not exactly new, but given the fact that it had pretty much the same set of trailers like the last two movie reviews, this is finally something a little different. We have some variety now. We had The Upside again. I mean, I know I had that before, but that's Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston. Kevin Hart is the personal aide for Bryan Cranston, who is quadriplegic. We had the Pet Sematary remake. Holmes and Watson, which I thought that was coming out on Friday, but I guess it got pushed back to Christmas Day. Anyway, then we have Glass again, Godzilla King of the Monsters, Lego Movie 2 again, no featurette this time. Then we had Avengers Endgame, and Alita Battle Angel. So, yeah. Obviously, the next movie review is going to be Bumblebee. That'll probably be Tuesday, maybe Monday evening. And after that, the next video is going to be probably the random trade review on the House of Mystery. Bumblebee is the last film review for the year. I do plan on doing kind of a best-worst list. It's probably going to be all in one video. They're not going to be separate. Still trying to compile everything together. So, see you all next time. Hey guys, is there a movie you want me to tackle? Even if it's some stinker like Baywatch or the Emoji Movie or something else? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. See how you can make that happen.